Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy Friday. It's December 16th. And welcome to the Local Marketing Institute Live. This is just another week where Greg Gifford has gone ahead and abandoned us. Shame on Greg. Hit him on Twitter, hit him on Facebook. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just kidding, everybody. I'm just kidding. So we love Greg. We can't wait till he's back. So, but he's out. He's doing the needful. He's out there doing a lot of speaking and meeting with people. So that's all good. So that being said, happy Friday, Trisha. That being said, I am joined by the wonderful queen of local search, Joy Hawkins. And if you don't know, if you live under a rock somehow, she is with Sterling Sky, Local Search Forum, LocalU. Joy basically just dominates this area. That's all I'm going to say. So, hey, Joy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Sorry you're stuck with me instead of Greg.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. It's such a horrible thing, too, right? No, thanks for coming. So, really quickly, everybody, I'll just tell you about my history with Joy. Joy was actually one of my mentors when I first joined the top contributor program, actually with Google. It was Joy and Mike and Linda Piquet. And I had three amazing mentors. I was very lucky. And Joy always gave her time as much as she could, actually, and she never asked for anything in return, this is Joy Hawkins. She's a very kind, she's a nice person, and she's always there for you. So but with that, I would like to say is, Joy, thank you for coming again. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background? Like, how'd you even get into this space and rise?
Yeah, it's actually funny. Back in 2006, I was at school studying advertising. So I looked around for a job in my field and got a job as a telemarketer for a company in Toronto that sold Google ads. And this was like before Google Places was a thing. And so I used to literally call businesses, mostly insurance companies, and sell them Google ads. And then when Google Places popped up, all of my clients were like, how do I get there? Like, what is this section? Can you get me there? And I remember talking to my boss about it. And I was like, I really want to figure this out and, try and see how we can get our clients here and da-da-da. And I want to learn SEO. And he's like, I don't know, Joy, I don't think you can wrap your head around it. Stick to sales. And so I didn't last there, very long. Actually 3 years. So I did stick it out for a bit. But from there, I went on to a different agency where I worked for 8 or 9 years and then started Sterling Sky back in 2017. And we have grown to a team of 32 in the US and Canada in just under 6 years. And it's good. I have no complaints.
Right on. Well, thanks for everything that you do, especially all the studies and everything else that you bring to the industry, and everybody appreciates you. Of course, you know that. So, all right, cool. So with that, we're just going to go into our news, updates, case studies, and then we'll get to questions. Before I get started, I just want to let everybody know in the audience, please add your questions that you have into the Q&A. Any questions that you have for Joy, me, if you have any kind of GBP or local SEO issues that you're currently having and you'd like us to debug them live, go ahead, throw those into the Q&A, and we'll be getting to all of those questions. So without further ado, the first thing we want to bring up to everybody is this. It's kind of like a little public service announcement. Yes, I know, Stephen, a week without the soundboard. Yes, and Greg, of course. But we've got some exciting news on that front, so wait until Greg comes back. So anyway, basically, the PSA is that there's been this talk of how, it's new that you can remove a business from Google Maps and it's going to disappear completely, and that this remove option is brand new. Well, the short of it is that the remove option is actually not brand new. It's the in-search experience. That's what's really, really new. And, if you click remove a business, then you can actually have your business removed from your dashboard and it can get deleted from Google Maps within an indeterminate period of time, basically. So, and the bad news is that if this actually occurs, your chances of getting it back are pretty darn slim. Joy, I know you have a bunch of thoughts on this. Let's do it. Unload.
Yeah. It's not new. I can say that. I think it's been around for a couple of years, but I've had numerous cases over the last 2 years where people have reached out to me because this has happened. And like, I think the worst case, there was a franchise that had 200 listings deleted. They don't know who deleted them, but I assume it was like an employee, maybe an ex-employee. I'm not sure. They weren't sure either, but yeah, they had to start from scratch. And I think the good news is sometimes the reviews can be restored, but we do know that there are some ranking advantages to having older listings. So it's definitely not a scenario you want to be in. Just another reason to be really, really careful of who you give ownership of your listing to. Like at a minimum, if you're working with agencies, we usually recommend like make them managers, don't make them owners, don't give them that liability. And if you're an agency, I would say that's, important for you as well.
And I have a fairly large agency that I work with, and they've been coming to me over the past couple of weeks going, oops, we removed this from our dashboard. What do we do? And I'm like, were you owners? They were like, yeah. I was like, oh, John, that's horrible. One that even happened to a really, really big law firm, actually. Lost 2 other profiles. So the call to action is this, is if you need to remove your access to a Google business profile, go to users or managers. I'm sorry, this is what it's called now. Go to managers and remove yourself by clicking edit next to your profile name and then remove yourself. This will just remove you from the profile, not the entire profile from the internet. So if anybody has any questions on that, please definitely ask them in the Q&A. All right. With that, just a quick update. Suspensions timeline 24 hours. I don't think it's been like this, Joy, since what? COVID?
Yeah, it's been a while. So it's exciting.
It totally is. It totally is. Yes, 24 hours, Trisha. Exactly. It's amazing. I mean, I had a client that, okay, so real quick story, right? Because we all have clients like this. Client comes and says, basically, they say, what was it? Hey, I'd like to update my business name, right? The one that had keywords to the business name. I said, okay, well, do you have signage? They're like, no, we don't have signage, but I'd like to update my business name. Okay, well, do you have everything ready? I was like, are you sure you want to do this? And they're like, yep, we just want to do it. And I'm like, you realize you can get suspended? They're like, yep, it's okay. We don't care. And go ahead. We ended up editing the business name. They ended up getting suspended immediately. And under normal circumstances, I would have said, well, now you have to suffer. No, I don't say that. But submitted it last night and removed the keywords, of course, to get them in compliance. And bam, they were reinstated literally like this morning. So it's like, it's an amazing feeling. It truly is. And it's great for merchants. What are your thoughts, Joy? What are you seeing?
Yeah, same. We've had a few suspensions this week that we've had to deal with. And the only negatives, if you're a service area business, there's still like that 2-week period where you don't usually rank well, right? So that kind of sucks. Like, even though you're back to normal, like they're not ranking yet again. So you still have to wait for that. But definitely way better than it was in the summer where it was like, 5-6 weeks? I can't remember. It was terrific.
Oh gosh, we were at, we were at 22 days during just the beginning of this winter. Previous to that, we were at 3 weeks, actually was the average. I believe that lasted for, I want to say 2 to 3 months at least. And then previous to that, it was a 7-day period. So, but it seems like Google goes through this pretty much once a year where everything gets really horrible, and then they train up a bunch of people and then everything goes back to normal. So, but 24 hours, I'm going to take it as long as we got it. Cool. So, and you, Joy, you got something to tell us about LocalU. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, we announced our next event. I can give a teaser. We're actually doing 2 events next year. We haven't announced the second one, but I'm more than happy to share.
Cool.
So first one is in April. I can't remember the exact date in April, but it's in Dallas.
26th.
So Greg, thank you. Greg is helping plan that one. So it was really exciting because we were like, we go to Dallas. Greg's right there and, can help us out. So he's speaking, but we have I try to get local speakers that haven't spoken at LocalU before because we are always getting feedback from people. Like we want, different people, different perspectives, different topics. So One of the ones I'm personally the most excited about, his name's Jeremy Vest. He's a YouTuber that I met at State of Search, and he was a keynote there. And this guy is really good at what he does. And I think video is one of those things that small businesses really don't seem to get or grasp very well at all. And he has a plumber actually in the Dallas area that he got viral on YouTube that actually ended up selling his plumbing business. And now he's an influencer. And I was like, okay, this guy knows his stuff and it's going to be new to our audience for sure. Like we've never had anyone really talk about video or YouTube and how it pertains to, small, boring businesses. And we're implementing some of his stuff ourselves with our own videos. Like the guy's just incredibly smart. So I'm really excited about his session. And of course, we have a large array of wonderful speakers there. The other event I'll just tease because I am also super excited about this one. Will be in October in Toronto.
Oh, really?
Yes. And this is the one that yes. I planned a LocalU in Toronto right after we acquired LocalU supposed to be in June of 2020. Obviously it didn't happen. And we actually had the venue all picked. We had launched it. We even had some sales. And then it was oh, yeah, all right. So I'm really excited because that's been it's 3 years in the making.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, my hometown, right? Well, I'm not in Toronto, but I'm in the Toronto area. So
oh, you're going to force me to go update my passport. That's okay.
Oh my gosh, you should, because it's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited.
I've never been to Canada, but I really, really want to try the poutine.
You need to. That's the thing. Like anybody that wants to come to Canada, I'll be sure to make sure I get you the Canadian experience, tell you where to go, tell you where not to go. But Toronto is also awesome for food. If you want any culture food, we've got it. And I would argue that our food is also better than New York City. So
lots of maple syrup, right?
Yeah, that too.
Let's see. We got David. He's asking, okay, when is Toronto? I'm sorry. Trisha is asking, when is Toronto again?
It'll be in October of next year.
October next year, Trisha. And butter tarts. What are butter tarts?
Oh my gosh, they're so amazing. Again, another thing I'll just have to make sure we have at catering, but it's they are pastries that have I can't explain what it is inside, but it's this kind of maple syrup, sweet thing. And then pecans. They have a version that has raisins, but raisins are hell on earth. So I would never have those. I hate raisins. They're yeah. But the ones with pecans are amazing. They are the best tasting pastry ever. They're horrific for you, but they're so good.
I was going to say, it sounds like I'm going to come up there in October, and then I'm going to be wagging my finger at you for the next 6 months as I try to shed 10 pounds.
Yeah, poutine, butter tarts, none of these things are healthy, but
Hey, it's Canada, right? Can we say that? It's Canada. Cool. Well, thanks. Thank you for sharing about that in Toronto. I'm actually really excited about that. Dallas will be great, of course. So that's awesome. All right, cool. So another thing for you, Joey, is so we saw this just the other day. Actually, you know what? I got to put the links in here. Could you tell us a little bit about the offer tag being available, label being available on Google Maps?
Yeah, this is really cool. So if you're not familiar with the term place labels are those things that you see on Google Maps for businesses. Not everybody has one, but if you're going to you see Empire State Building actually written on Google Maps, and then usually with the pin, you'll notice when you're scrolling around on Google Maps, not every business has one of these place labels because there isn't room for them all. We did a whole study a couple of years ago on, what determines who gets them, yada, yada. But as you're zooming in and you see place labels, we're now seeing that if you have an offer post, Google actually highlights offer available, which is huge because I think prior to this, we'd seen for restaurants, sometimes they would highlight dollar amounts or sometimes things from reviews, but I've never seen them pull in posts before. And I think offer posts specifically on the Google Maps app are just becoming more and more visible and important. So I think Google's doing that on purpose to push them so people actually utilize them. But offer posts have just an amazing visibility on maps specifically. They are still missing on desktop, so there's still that bug going on. So if you make an offer post, it's not on desktop, which is very, very irritating. But the exposure that it gets on mobile, I think, is still good enough that you'd want to use that post type instead of the others.
Over the past, what is this now? Now we're looking at, I think, 3 years, right? Google Business Profile, formerly GMB, has been really trying to push the whole offer post. you remember when it started back with the local guides following profiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would get presented with an offer post. And I don't know. I mean, they've got to have the data to back it up, I guess, or maybe maybe it's an active test, But if you think about user intent, or I'll talk about only my user intent, right? It's like if I'm looking at a map and I'm looking at hotels or restaurants or whatever the case may be, the dollar signs might be more important than there's an offer post, So I'm curious about that right there. Is like, okay, well, intent wise, what works better basically for a user? What do you
People love
think
their
about
coupons. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's marketing 101. Like, people love coupons. They love savings. This is why you get flyers in the mail, right? Like, still works. So I think that's, and I think it's also Google trying to give small business owners a chance to like share something new that's like current, which is, not easy to do in that environment. It's a lot easier with like social media.
Sure.
So I think that, they're trying to compete. I think Google Plus obviously failed, and Google still doesn't really have a social platform. And I think they're trying to make maps more of a social thing. So like the Maps app, like I've flipped through there and I don't know what the stats are on like how many people actually use the Explore tab on the Google Maps app, but like it's very social. You see posts, you see people that have like left reviews in your area specifically, or like types of businesses that you like. So it's very customized and stuff, but it is cool that the new Google Business Profile performance metrics do break down things for maps and search. So that's kind of insightful. So you can actually see like the impressions on maps, which is kind of cool.
I love that. I do. I love that. I always go back and forth about the whole social aspect of Google Business Profiles, because, traditional social, right, is when you can gain followers. Dennis, please ask that in the Q&A function. Thanks. Otherwise it won't get answered. Anyway, but social is traditionally thought of as, a two-way street, right? Versus with GBP, it's like anything that they've been attempting is all one-way streets. The following of the users, which no matter matters anymore, or following of business profiles, I should say. To, like you said, of the offer posts, even with showing of the reviews, it's like it just doesn't seem there's that two-way engagement. And I mean, I remember them saying, it's like, well, asking them directly about this, and they were like, why would somebody want to be social on Google Maps? I mean, it's actually wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point. Like Q&A is sort of two ways ish, like not that business owners even knew that thing existed until recently. Now it's finally in a dashboard, but like, we usually, when we do audits, I don't know about you guys, it's like the first thing we see all these like unanswered questions because nobody realized it was there. It's like, and some of them are bad.
Oh yeah. Oh no, we have an entire system around removing Q&A that's not supposed to be there. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right, cool. All right, so let's see. Thank you, Joy. Next thing is this. Let's go again on the whole in search experience confusion. So just want to highlight Tim Capper has a really great guide when it comes to the in search experience, and I've gone ahead and I've created a visual guide to Google Business Profile, which is basically, well, it's what it sounds like. It's a visual guide to the most common things, well, actually all the things you can do currently in your GBP. It just shows you step by step how to click through and get to where you want. I know you actually, Joy, you've been doing some little videos on Twitter here recently, right? Mm-hmm. Is that from your viral guy, by the way?
Literally. I sat down with him and I was like, tell me what I should be doing for videos. And he told me, and we did his training, and
Nice. And, but you just put out something, top 3 things, right? And didn't you put out, or was it you or Liz that put out a blog post on that?
I think that was, Aaron did one as well. Aaron had one on Search Engine Land. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. But yeah. So, with this new in search experience, it's now we're at a month almost, something like 3 weeks,
something like
that it's been fully launched. And, there's a lot of confusion still on, well, how do I do this? How do I add a user manager, And once now that there are no more hacks to really get back into the dashboard, understanding where you can go and what you can do. And I can tell you, at least from my experience, I've been, as soon as they did the full switch over, I fully switched over. I didn't even use the hacks, even though they were there, because I wanted to get used to what was going on. And like if I'm doing a reinstatement or if I'm doing troubleshooting or whatever the case may be, you got to know how to work around in this. Of course, Google, they forced it on us in a sense, quote unquote. But yeah, so there's a couple guides out there right now. And I linked to Tim's guide, I believe, in my guide. So you'll be able to get to Tim's guide. But if you have any questions or if you want to see any additions or things like that, let me know and I'll go ahead and I'll take the guide. What's your experience so far been with the whole InSearch experience? I mean, does your team love it or hate it?
Well, they all hate it, but I'll be honest, like I don't really care. I think some things are better, but the one really bad thing that they really actually, sorry, there's two. Photos is really bad. Like the photo experience is terrible. Trying to figure out like which photos you've added and how to delete them, like it is so not simple. I lied, I have three. The business profile ID, like that's like I get so many questions on the forum. How do I find my business profile ID? Like it's like you have to click like 4 things to get to it. And then reviews are a big one. So like, it used to be really simple before to see which review you had like a filter and you could see, have I responded to these reviews or not, and filtered out that way. So a lot of businesses do that. They go to the ones that they haven't responded to yet and they respond. And now it's like you have no way to sort. So it's, really irritating. You can't sort by responded or not responded.
Yeah, responded or not responded. That's correct. Yeah, that is super annoying, actually. I agree.
It's as if you like, I've got a client that's got like, 7 or 8 listings and that's like how he used to do it. And we had a hack and it stopped working like this week, I believe. So it's really frustrating. Like it's not a good experience for businesses at all. That part of it.
I agree. I don't know. The thing that gets me about it the most is like, I'm a fan of efficiency, right? Mm-hmm. The least amount of clicks to do what I need to do. And, because that time adds up. It's like if every day you're spending an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out what you're doing, just multiply that times a day in the year. And that's how much time you're wasting. And that's what gets me is like you're saying, it's like to get to the managers, you're talking 4 clicks. If you want to get to that ID, 5 clicks, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 clicks. So, it's an amazing time waster. I've kind of pisses me off they didn't look at that experience first, but
there are things that are better though. So in fairness, like the insights are better. Like there are certain things that are better for sure. I like how in managers too, you can actually see the email address of the manager because before you used to like hover over and it was like trying to like type on one screen while I was hovering over on another was not a great experience. So yeah, like that's helpful. And definitely the performance metrics are way better than the old insights.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with that. Well, and as we know, it's like the performance metrics are actually real-time metrics in a sense versus the insights, which are not.
They're like, they're 3 days behind. So they're not quite like real time, but
I thought they said it was real. Okay. Well, 3 days.
If you look at daily, it's like you'll see a drop like for the last 3 days, but
okay, right on. Maybe I'm thinking about posts.
Possibly. Well, they weren't real time before when it came to, I did a whole study on the years ago where it's like, if you were looking at quarterly data, it wasn't the last quarter. It was like 6 or 9 months old. So I think they updated that.
Right on. Mark, let's see, export of views and actions, etc. If it's in the API, you can grab it through there. I mean, realistically, but no, they're probably not going to give you an export view of that. I wouldn't think that's going to be something that would be very efficient for them. Okay, cool. Well, now let's get into the next big thing I want to talk about, and that is your study, Joy. So you've recently put out a study all about local guides and reviews and what stays up at the top. So please tell everybody a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this is taken from my LocalU presentation that I did in Denver this year. And basically I did a year-long study, it's a case study looking at a specific few set of businesses. And I wanted to figure out what causes Google to stick a review. When you go to look at somebody's reviews, there's always ones that float to the top and they're always the ones that show up for like most relevant. So they're the first reviews that people see. And we see time and time again, like there'll be a negative review stuck there that's like 10 months old. And yet they've gotten all these new reviews and the list order doesn't change. And I was like, why doesn't it change? Like, what is it that Google's looking for? So we measured all these different things and we've put out, I think, like 6 or 7 articles so far. I think there's 3 more left coming in the coming weeks.
Nice.
So I think this week's was about local guides. And if local guides, matters, like if the reviews are from local guides, do they stick longer? And we measured like in days, basically like how long they were in the top 10. And then once they dropped out, we adjust the days. So we found that reviews from local guides do stay in the top 10 longer than reviews from non-local guides, which shocked me because I've always thought the whole local guides thing was a bunch of crap. So, like you see it a lot of times from the same people that talk about Google stacking and like, it's just very like gimmicky. But one of the interesting things I found is like there was another study done by Soci, I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Soci,
Soci, SOCI, and they were looking at local guide review length. And one of the things we looked at in our study was like, okay, are these reviews from local guides longer? And they weren't really longer, but a lot of the local guides we were looking at were like level 1, 2, 3, et cetera. And in this other study, they looked at like all levels of local guides and they don't start to get longer till I believe level 8 or 9. And then level 8 or 9, they start to write longer reviews. And longer reviews are one of the biggest things we found that influence, I think the second biggest thing we found, the biggest one's still coming. We're going to be publishing that one in another week or 2. But long reviews stick up longer. So like if you have a, 3-paragraph rant that is a 1-star review, that would stick longer because of the length of the review. So there is something to be said about like higher level guides tend to write longer reviews, but not just local guides in general, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a shame. It would be really difficult to do this. But as you're talking about it, I'm thinking, okay, well, what about the actual authority of the profile? Right. So most people who are 8s or 9s or even 7s, they've worked up their actual authority by adding photos and doing real reviews and such. So, it's like I could see the spammers out there going, oh, wait a minute, I can make my review stick if I make it longer. Well, let me just go spin up that ChatGPT API from the AI and let's start making reviews that are 2 to 3 paragraphs in length, which I'm sure we're going to probably see that anyway. But yep. I would wonder, and it would be great if we could, but I can't see any way we could measure the authority of their profile for, say, a level 8 versus a level 8. And if it's a spammier profile, would it still stay at the top? Or would they use the actual authority?
There's probably signals that Google looks at that we don't see, right? But I think that it's definitely one of the indicators. That's why we also looked in the same article at like, do they have a profile photo? And we found that yes, like ones with profile photos stick up longer. And again, that comes down to like authenticness, right? Like if you got a profile photo, it's more likely you're a real person. Not always. But
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was also interesting on Twitter. We saw that a review that I had written for White Spark, the different thing, but same thing. I'm a level 8 and I put a video in it actually. And a year later, it's still up.
Yeah. Video, man. I think video is like going to be the thing of the future, right? But like photos, so I'll ruin our post that's coming up in 2 weeks, but photos is like one of the biggest ways that things stick to the top. So reviews with photos, way more likely to stick at the top than reviews without photos. So I think video is like a step above photos. So if you have a video with your review, which is a newish feature, and I think it's only on the Google Maps app that you can leave a video. I totally want to go try it for this business that I hired to do my Christmas lights. I'm going to go take like a video of my like house and put it on there.
Nice.
And see what happens, because I think it's going to probably make that review stick for a very long time.
Probably going to stay up there all year long. All right, cool. Next thing really is that this is just released today as far as the news item goes. And there is going to be a feature of the product posts that's being deprecated. And that is that they're no longer going to be allowing for a price range in your product posts. It's still to be determined whether it's going to be where they require a price or not. So need to clarify that piece of information. And they're also going to be deprecating the call to action down to just a learn more link. And the reasoning that we were given for this is basically they don't want broader brand or broader category styles of posts any longer. And so, which is kind of interesting because, we asked about the service businesses putting up, personal injury lawyer as far as like a service. And they were like, well, yeah, you can continue to do that. More to it than that, but that's the nutshell of it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all of this, Joy?
I think products are, I don't know, they're not as good of a thing as services when it comes to like how much visibility they give you. For most business types that we work with, because we don't work with a lot that sell products. If you're a retail store, then absolutely, because like they said, they influence the sold here that shows up. So, if you're like Walmart and you sell a PS4, or I should say PS5 now, PS5 or like a Nintendo Switch, you want to have that in your inventory so that when people search those things, it says, oh yeah, like you can buy this here at Walmart. So that makes perfect sense. But like for, plumber, like does a plumber need products? Like they do show up in search, but we found they get like little to no clicks. They don't show up really well on mobile at all. So like the services option is definitely a better use of time. I don't think there's any harm in filling out products if you're a service-based business, but do I think it's going to like move the needle? No.
What comes down to intent again, right? It's like if I'm going to be looking for a plumber, it's probably because I have a problem with my toilet or my sink or something like that needs to be repaired. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be looking for a wrench or a pipe.
Exactly.
You can sell that to me when you're here at my house. So yeah, no, I completely great point there, Joy. All right. With that, we have a couple questions, and then we are going to get into live Q&A. All right. So first question comes from Jim Froling. And basically, duplicate posts hurting duplicate blog posts hurting traffic. The question, Joy, is this. I have a client that subscribes to a service that posts blogs relevant to his business. However, they post the same content on dozens of other businesses in this category. His site traffic has been erratic for the last few months. High one month, low the next, high again the following. Rankings are decent. It's got over 150 backlinks, 6 of which are new, and decent domain authority. I checked his links in Ahrefs, and nothing really jumped out. Could the volatility of his traffic be due to the duplicate blog posts?
Oh man, I have so much to say on this topic. Okay, so duplicate content is a problem when you are competing for the same SERP. So that's how you have to think of it. Like, I feel like people get this wrong a lot. So for example, if you're looking for a car accident lawyer in Tampa and you type in car accident lawyer in Tampa, if you have the same page or same content as other lawyers in Tampa, that's a problem because Google will basically look at them all and say these are too similar and they'll filter some out, or they will lower the ranking of some. We've seen that as well. However, if you're like, you have the same content as a car accident lawyer in Dallas, let's say, no, it's not really a problem because you're targeting different SERPs. Like one's targeting Tampa, one's targeting Dallas. So we've done, studies on this that are maybe controversial, but showing like that service area pages, for example, we've got lots of clients where like they use boilerplate content and like 80% of the content on their service area pages are the same and they all rank just fine because they're not competing whatsoever, which I know may not be popular opinion. If you do it at scale, if you had like 50,000 of them, probably would get flagged by Google. So I'm not saying do that, but with most small businesses we work with, they have, a few dozen, and I've never seen it be an issue. So I would say, if the company is posting the same content with like in the same geo, same target, then yeah, that's a problem for sure. But if they're like, one's in Florida, one's in California, one's in Texas, et cetera, not likely a problem. The caveat is we have found sometimes SERPs aren't local. We have clients that are multi-location businesses and one piece of content on their site will rank all over the entire US in all kinds of different markets. So that's where it gets tricky. So it's like, you got to look at the SERP and see what Google's pulling in. There is a trick to see if your content is filtered. You add the and filter equals 0 string to the end of the search URL in your browser, and it'll show you all the filtered results. I could go on, but I'll stop.
That's actually a great tip with the and filter equals 0. And that's right at the end of the URL, I assume, right?
Yeah. So like in your Google, like at the search bar at the top, not like where you search in Google, but your actual like address bar.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, it's duplicate content has been a topic of controversy in the SEO industry for probably 20 years now, at least. And I mean, I remember when Matt Cutts was around, this question was asked of him, of course, right? And he came back with a reference that was loosely like this. And it's kind of like, Lord of the Rings. It's like there can be only one, right? There can be only, the one ring to rule them all. In the sense that what Google tries to do is if it sees a lot of the same type of content, it goes, okay, well, who published this first? What's our record of this? Who published it first? And we're going to probably, depending on multiple factors, award a national, basically, SERP listing to this person. But then again, they've also come out and stated that duplicate content won't necessarily penalize you, right?
It doesn't, yeah. Like that's where it's like people are like, oh, I'm screwed. And I'm like, well, you're screwed if you're filtered. Or if you have like the problem with that blog post strategy is you probably have like 15 different blogs now targeting the same keywords. That's another nightmare. So we see that a lot with, sites that we start working on is they'll have multiple pages all targeting the same thing. And then none of the pages rank well. And I've got some research I'm doing that I'm probably going to turn into a presentation next year also about like what happens when you have indents, when you do a search for a keyword and you actually have 2 pages ranking. I've been finding that is bad. If you've got 2 pages ranking, not good. You want 1, not 2.
Interesting.
Look
forward to hearing about that one.
Yeah. It's really interesting what we found. Yeah. Combining them has some good results.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. All right. So the next live question we have, and then we're going to have to we're going to have to move directly in. Well, we'll cover the third one very quickly because you already know the answer to it. So, is there an official Google document that explains how they aggregate the data of photo views in GPP?
Short answer.
Stop right there.
Yeah, they're going away. So who cares? They're not going to be around in like another 2-3 months. I think it's March that they're getting deprecated in the API. So don't worry about it. They're not going to be around.
Yeah. And I think the short answer to that is the viewport pretty much. And when you're scrolling through the viewport, it would accumulate a view. So if you're curious about the functions of how things would work inside of Google, there you go. But other than that, who cares? Forget about it. All right. So, and the last one, Joy, is somebody saw a significant drop in ranking on Local Falcon recently. What's up with that?
They had a bug last week. So actually there was a big message in their dashboard when you logged in. And if any of your reports ran while that bug was occurring, they're crediting everybody and rerunning them. So it's fixed now, but yeah, like it was crazy. You would see like massive tanking and like the results were not actually correct. So that's likely what's going on there.
Yep. Okay. Coolness. Excellent. So let me see. Okay. So we're going to get into the Q&A really quick first here. Yeah, we got about 20 minutes, so we're good to go. So again, everybody, if you have any questions for Joy or myself, go ahead. Feel free to throw them into the Q&A. We are getting to them right now. All right. So the first one comes from Tom Patterson. Does having a slash or non-slash URL hurt a site's SEO? For example, does Google see example.com with no slash as a different page than one with the slash? Big old question mark.
It can. I'm not going to, I hate doing that. It depends. We have a client actually that's got this issue. Like one doesn't resolve to the other. And it was driving one of my colleagues nuts because it should, like, you should have one forwards the other. Like if the site's set up properly, that shouldn't be an issue. And usually the one with the slash is generally like common for WordPress sites. So you always have a slash at the end. That being said, this one client that we have that for where their site is just irritating and it doesn't do that. I've never seen any negative impact in ranking because of it. Google knows they're the same page and they don't index both versions for this particular site. So I would say if they're not indexing both pages, you're probably fine. You can use Search Console to debug and see if there's any issues. But overall, not a something I've found is a big problem.
Yeah, in my experience, of north of 20 years in SEO, I've never seen an issue with not having a slash or having a slash. I mean, it's the exact same thing. The area you need to watch out, of course, when it comes to subdomains and also your HTTP versus your HTTPS. Google does look at those as absolutely separate entities. So that's where you would need to worry about, I think, more of a ranking issue. Do you agree?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Steven has a question now. Oh, this one's regarding reputation management. We don't get this one a lot. Thanks, Steve. Let's see. I have a client who is a dentist and has been reprimanded by a state dental board. Now, when you search for his name, his website with a reprimand, the reprimand is one of the top results. Do you think it's possible to combat this with SEO to push down the SERPs? It's a good question, actually. It's a really good question.
Oh man, you can. I don't know if I want to say this live. There are tactics. Yeah, I know. Oh man. You know what? Shoot me an email. I'm debating. I'm not saying this live. You can email me, joy@sterlingsky.ca, and I'll let you know. There is a way to get rid of it. Yes.
Okay.
Not the most white hat method. Sorry, I'm just big disclaimer there.
Oh my God. You're not talking about DMCA trick, are you? You're not saying. Okay. All right. So there you go. All right. So yes, I know we all want to hear the answer.
Sorry.
But yeah, certain things should be left unsaid. I'll just kind of pick a little white hat thing that goes on here for reputation management. The thing you can, this is the bitch. The bitch is it's on a site probably that has a lot of authority and trust in Google's eyes. So we see this with like BBB complaints and things like that, where they will just boom, go straight to the top and they're going to stick. So unfortunately, the only thing I think that at least I'll say that's a white hat that you can do is, really just focus on creating more content that's going to rank for your name. More importantly, join every single social media site you can, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And then toss some links at those puppies for your name. Okay. That at least will bring them up and it should, in theory, bump that content down. So you're replacing it with more content, which is about you, which is totally fine. And it's above the board. And you should do that anyway. So you own your SERP. Just saying. All right. We'll move on to the next one. All right. So this one's from Joey Abna. So curious about your thoughts of GBP products with the new report showing up in insights. It seems that products don't show very well in search, so not sure why they would finally give us some data.
Products are showing up in insights? I
haven't seen products showing up in insights.
Yeah, interesting. Well, if it is new, cool. Again, I think this goes back to what I said earlier. Products, I think, are more valuable for retail, type stores and not so much for service-based business, which is what we deal with. So I wouldn't focus on it. If you're dealing with lawyers, home services, stuff like all our clients are service-based for the most part. We have a few that are retail, but yeah, I'd say not really worth your while to focus on.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Joey has something here he's linking us to. So what do we got here, Joey?
I'm gonna open up too.
Oh, top products. That's what he's talking about.
Interesting. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Products, top products.
That is kind of neat. I feel like you should tweet that to Barry because I think that is new.
Yeah, I'm going to have to concur. That's brand new. So good job, Joey.
Yeah, it's hard to find things that Barry has not already covered. So yeah, you definitely want to tag him.
Exactly. And come on, it's hard to keep up with all the changes.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, we have in Slack all the time. We're like, is this new? Like, yeah.
See, exactly. All right. So anonymous attendee has graced us with their presence. Joy, if you don't know, but anonymous attendee always joins us. They always come in. They always ask some great questions. They're an awesome.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Awesome person. So the first question we have from anonymous attendee, because it looks like they have given us a couple. Hello there. Greetings from Colombia. Questions about SEMrush. SEMrush or SEMrush?
I say SEM forever. So
SEMrush.
SEM sounds weird.
I know, right? The SEMrush. Okay, fine. All right. So the reports have been a bit harsh on us with our multi-location business. We're wondering which URL should we use for tracking homepage or homepage versus /location. And not just that we have clients with specific categories to track. So I think what they're asking there is the proper way to track a multi-location homepage or homepage /location, and also categories. I don't know. Do you need more information on this one?
I mean, like, are they asking like which one to link the Google business profile to, or how to track activity for each market? I mean, like, I can answer both. Like, if you're, tracking activity in each market, I'd say hook up Search Console to Data Studio, and you should be able to report for just URLs containing Tampa, URLs containing Clearwater, whatever, your city is. So that's one way to do that. We've set lots of dashboards like that for our multi-location clients. If you're asking like which one to link GBP to, I always just do an analysis of the SERP, see which one's ranking. Often it's the homepage, like often homepage is the best one to link to, but we definitely have some clients that we link to location pages. And obviously for like multi-location businesses, it can be a lot better user experience to link to a location page if they need to call that location instead of the toll-free number on the website, which is not useful. You would never want to like link to the homepage if you were like Starbucks, for example. That'd be crazy.
Oh, come on. Why not? No. Yeah. I concur. It's you can really manipulate the UTM string to dial in directly into locations and what location is doing well and what location is not doing well. So I think that's something that everybody who has I don't care if you have one or two locations. Actually, everybody should be doing that regardless. All right, cool. So Doug has a question. Let's see. If we have optimized the GBP, creating posts and products, but remain low in the rankings. Oh, this is going to be fun. Websites rated 96% optimized. Articles added regularly, but still low in GBP rankings. What are the external things that I can do to boost my GBP in maps?
Okay, well, your website being 90-something% optimized, there's no number. Like, website optimization is never done. So we like constantly go back and re-optimize pages. I'll give you an example. I was looking at a dentist client of ours, and they rank well for like emergency terms, but we were finding, wow, they actually get, a bunch of impressions for like urgent related keywords or same day or like other ways of phrasing that are not emergency, right? So if you want to rank better for those terms, then like, the word urgent should probably appear on the page somewhere, right? And it doesn't. So a task would be, let's go back to this page and add like, instances of urgent or optimize for that keyword. And, as crazy it sounds, like SEO tactics like that work so well still, and they impact not just organic, but local pack rankings. So website optimization is never done. I would never put a stat on it. And also it changes. Like we had another example, but a lawyer of ours, family lawyer, which page Google used to rank for his site for some of the major terms, like let's say he's in Texas, like Texas divorce law or Texas divorce lawyer used to rank one page and now it's ranking another page. Like, and the intent of the two pages are so different. And so now we're like, okay, we need to change our strategy here. We need to go optimize this page instead and change it around. And like, honestly, it's never done. Like we are always working on the site, always looking to see what the SERPs are saying, tracking Search Console data like crazy, tracking GBP insights, all that stuff. That's where we spend, I'd probably say 80% of our focus is on site, and then maybe 10% link building, 10% GBP. I mean, Those are rough estimates.
And not to mention, you've optimized your GBP, creating posts and products, but remain low in rankings. Look, 90% of the things that you do in GBP will not affect your rankings directly. They might cause things which were considered engagement signals, and I put them in quotes because it's never actually been tested. It's very much theory, that engagement signals are going to help with your ranking. But actually anything that you do, if you try and stuffing keywords in all the things, It's like in your owners, your reviews, Darren just put a little thing, I think it was about keywords in reviews, actually, right? I think that was Darren. I see
That was
label. Or was that you?
Maybe. Well, I don't, he may have said as well. I don't want to say he didn't, because he may have. We post a lot of similar stuff.
But you even had one study that you did where it said review keywords in reviews, which I'm not sure I agree with, just saying, but might not impact much, right? I mean, who knows? It could be dampened, that's for sure. But still, it's like, if the basics of SEO, I have always stated is if you are trying to do SEO for Google, you're basically fighting a losing battle. Okay. If you do SEO for something that's going to help somebody make a decision on whether they should do business with you, you're always going to win. Yes, you have to do the technical things. Yes, you have to link build. You have to do PR. You have to get awareness. But at the end of the day, it should be for the consumer. So if you think stuffing keywords into the labels area of GBP is going to help a consumer somehow, you need a mentor, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Shoving keywords in your business name, that works, but not sure about anywhere else.
That's true. Well, and technically putting them into your services can help up sometimes, unless you're saying you provide, I don't know, provide sexual battery.
Have that happen all the time to lawyers. Yep.
Exactly. Do your services right. Okay, cool. Thank you, Joy. Next question is going to be, again, from anonymous attendee. Told you they have to get their 2 cents in. We have Spanish accounts to track. Should we use homepage.es? So in other words, should they use a homepage which is Spanish, I guess, is the question.
Yep. Yeah. Spanish content performs really well. It varies based on the market, but if you've got a lot of Spanish speaking people in your market, then it's a good way to get more traffic. Also, ads in Spanish are way cheaper. Cost per click is way cheaper. We've got a few verticals that are in really high cost per click, like verticals, like their keywords are stupid insane. And like the Spanish equivalent is like reasonable. So definitely Spanish content is good. You don't need a ton of it. We've kind of found that like you usually a few Spanish pages targeting the kind of the core keywords. You don't need to get as niche with it usually as you do with all your English pages.
Right on. All right. Let's see. You got 8 minutes. All right. So Dennis has a question for you, Joy. So, hi, Joy. I have a new client and I will be optimizing their GBP as part of the project. There's an existing GBP that they never claimed. They're a school and they're changing the name of school. Part of it will be the rebrand. Oh God, you gotta love these grilled cheese sandwiches. Would you claim and edit the existing GBP or claim it and delete it and create a new GBP under the new school name? I can post the URL for the existing profile. It helps. Thank you for cards. Dennis.
I don't think I'd do either. I would, if it's the same address, same phone number, I would just contact support and ask them to merge it.
That would be the easiest way to go.
Don't delete it though. Merging is great. If you've got duplicate listings, you want to merge them, that will actually, we found that increases ranking. So if you've got some old listing floating around, there's kind of stuff behind the scenes that's attached to it that will get passed over to the new one when you have them merged. So merging is the way to go.
Cool. All right. So let's see how many we got left here. We're not going to be able to get everybody. I'm sorry, anonymous attendee. It's actually the last question for today is from anonymous attendee. All right. So that is, hi, Joy. Any evidence that 360 photos uploaded by businesses help with visibility in maps? If not, does using a Google approved photographer, and how do you find one?
There's a page. So when you go to the Google photographers, there's like a page and it lists all the photographers by city, by state. You can filter it. It's pretty easy to find. So I'm pretty sure if you Google search that, you'll see it. I think it's at the bottom though. You gotta like scroll down to the bottom of the page. I always suggest using a Google photographer because they can directly upload all the photos for you, saves you the time. They're usually not much more expensive than like just a normal photographer. So why not like save yourself the time and get the 360 tour? I think 360 tours are helpful for businesses that get suspended regularly. So, good way to prove you're there. And I think they add, like a cool feature. Do I think they impact ranking? I've never seen any cases where they have, but I honestly don't know. Never tested it. I do think it's just another cool feature that you can add, and usually worthwhile if you have a lot of people come visit your location.
Yeah, I agree. You can also search, Paul is saying Google Street View, but when I used to search for it, I just put in Google Trusted Photographer. Yeah, exactly. And then, then you can find them very quickly. I believe we had Joe on here earlier this year, and he does Street View, and he stated that the 360 do help with ranking. I don't know. I kind of go back to the whole do it for the consumer kind of thing, but that's just me. Quick question from Doug. What was the URL search for duplicate content?
I'll put it in the chat.
He was talking about the filter, I think.
I'll also have I believe, find the article I wrote about this.
Cool. And yeah, even Paul, looks like he's a trusted photographer. He's saying it's hard to quantify. All right. Okay. Now we're going to try and burn through these really quick, Joy. So thanks for doing the Q&A. My question is, as a new business owner who set up their GBP recently, does using local service ads help me rank quickly? You want me to grab this one?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. Look, the fact of the matter is this, I'm going to just make it quick. Every division of Google does not speak to each other and does not impact anything that the other division does, even Google Maps and GBP, period. So the short answer is with local services ads, no, it's not going to help you rank quickly. It will help you get business.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, so do that. All right, Stephen asked a question, if you have time. Do you think that there's any benefit to reposting a Google review as a Google post on GBP?
Probably not. I mean, Google posts really are good to get like justifications. That's usually what we use them for. So, offer posts are good ways to get clicks. So that's cool. If you've got specials, discounts, anything that you can use that's salesy, that's what I would use it for. Reviews, we found, I think we did our post study that we did a year or two ago. It's on the Sterling Sky blog. Just search like for posts or post study, and the reviews one was not one of the top types of posts that gets clicks, because we did have a bunch of those that we looked at.
Yep, that's interesting. Cool. It's not going to hurt you, I will say that.
Yeah, but there's better things to use posts for. That's like, if I can find it in 2 seconds, I'll try to put it in the chat.
Yeah, that was a great study, actually. I like that study a lot.
We're gonna probably redo it next year.
Cool. All right, anonymous attendee, fine. We will get to you really quick, and then we'll just ask then we'll go straight into wrapping up here. When the Search Console requested Google to clear their cache because I was seeing alternate domain name in Google search. I thought if I requested this, Google would simply update their search results to see my preferred domain. But now I see my website will not show in GBP. Have you ever seen this happen? What can I do to get my website back on GBP?
Sounds like you have indexing problems, and that's really hard to diagnose without looking. But the number one reason why you can't get a website listed on your listing is because the website itself is not indexed. So if you have the wrong domain indexed and you want to unindex that domain, 301 it to the domain that you want, why would you keep it around? Like I'm not, it's probably missing details that I don't have, but best way to get Google to index your site is to make sure, it doesn't have a no index tag on it, which is usually the case. Put it through an inspection URL tool in Search Console and see what it says. But it's not hard to get a website indexed.
Yeah, and that you actually, that's exactly what I was going to say. We see it in the forums all the time, where people say, it's like, I can't get my website to stick, and Google keeps removing it. Take the no index off your tag,
right?
Tag off your site and your robots.txt. There is another thing you can look at too, and this one's a lot harder to diagnose. But if your URL has been reported for spam in spam databases, that can also cause the URL to not show in GBP, or if you add it and it gets immediately removed. We have somebody in the forum that that came from here, that has about 300 URLs, and Google refuses to put the domain name in. on 300 GBPs. And, it's like, okay, so what do? Do you create a new one and do you 301 redirect it? Will that even solve the problem? So, but you can
Fun
try.
stuff.
Yeah, I know. All right. All right. With that, since I believe we are actually at our last show of the year, Joy,
Wow.
what do you think? I think we're both going to be on Bright Local next year for the 2023 local SEO. But what do you think? What do you think? Give us a sneak peek. What do you think this next year's got in hold in store for us?
I mean, my number one for next year, well, maybe two things. Video. I think video, I think small business owners are not doing videos. They're not thinking about video. Heck, half of them can't even get images. So that's step one. I think video is going to become more and more important, right? More important is going to become a review aspect. It's going to be, now they're showing them on the Maps app and they're auto playing. We're starting to see that. And I think that Google, with YouTube being so competitive with TikTok, I think Google's going to integrate more videos into search. And texting, I think, is another thing that small business owners really fail at. So make sure your customers can get you via text, however that looks. If you have a, text us button on your website, if you have a chat forum that integrates with text, people don't want to call as much as they used to. They want to text. So those are the two trends, I would say.
Right on. I have to definitely agree with you on video. I think images are going to continue to dominate the conversation. It's Google's been getting more and more sophisticated with images since 2013, and we're seeing it all over the UI now, and lots and lots of tests. I think the other thing is that they're going to continue to tweak the interface. If that's one thing that we've seen this year, is that the UI has gotten complete overhauls and refreshing. We've been seeing the tests, which are, I got to say, I saw it 50% yesterday of the time. I'm seeing the new kind of layout, the tabbed layout in search, with the rounded images, much sleeker kind of look, more like mobile, basically. So, and then you've got, of course, what happened with the in-search experience. Where editing and doing any function with your GBP is all in search now. I think that is going to continue to get better, and it's going to expand with more features. But other than that, it's going to I don't know. I keep on saying that they're going to integrate more merchant features into the profiles for the past couple of years. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen this year. So, but all that being said, so thank you, Joy, for coming on and being with the last episode that we have of the year. And thank you, Stephen. Definitely, dude. Happy holidays to you. And do you have any parting words that you'd like to put out there, call to action?
Yeah, I am most active on Twitter. I'm on every social platform, but Twitter is the one that I'm regularly talking on. So you want to find me, hit me up on Twitter. Thanks for having me, Ben.
Cool. All right. Awesome, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Be safe. And we will see you next year with a soundboard and a Greg Gifford. Bye.